Welcome to The Glass Ceiling, the podcast where business leaders share their stories, struggles and triumphs.
There is a lot in that. There's a lot of learning.
We sort of had different views on how the business should be ran.
The next 10 years looks like for South Australia.
Startup's the easiest.
I'm your host, Marissa Hankinson from Wavebreaker, and I'm passionate about amplifying their voices. Join me as we explore the highs and lows of innovation, entrepreneurship and leadership. From founders to CEOs, our guests will share their insights, experiences and advice on how to succeed and make a lasting impact. Get ready for inspiring conversations and valuable lessons. Let's shatter the glass ceiling, one story.
Want your own video podcast? Or just ready to get in front of the right audience?
At Wavebreaker Productions, we specialise in full-service video podcast production and guest appearance and PR services.
We help business owners, experts, and change makers show up with confidence on camera and on the mic.
From filming and editing to distribution and promotion, we handle it all, so you can focus on your message.
Whether you're launching your own show or looking to appear on aligned podcasts, we'll help you get seen, heard, and remembered.
This is more than a podcast. It's your platform.
Helping you be seen, heard, and remembered.
Find out more at wavebreakerproductions.com.
Joining me today is Matthew Dew, a people-focused leader and the General Manager of SMAART Recruitment here in South Australia. Matt launched SMAART's Adelaide office in 2019, and under his leadership, it's grown into a trusted recruitment partner for contact centres, sales and business support, HR and finance roles across the whole of the state. He's built a reputation for delivering results with heart, matching people and businesses not just on skills, but on culture, values and long-term potential. Before stepping into recruitment, Matt's career spanned financial services, retail and technology, giving him a strong commercial lens and a clear understanding of what businesses really need to thrive. He's a big believer in the power of aligned leadership and putting the right people in the right roles to unlock momentum. Outside SMAART, Matt contributes to the broader recruitment industry through advisory and committee roles. Today, we're going to talk about people, performance, and the leadership it takes to grow a business that genuinely values lead. Matthew, welcome to the Glass Ceiling.
Thank you for having me.
So how are we feeling? It's a Friday. Are we feeling good?
Yeah, we're feeling good. Feeling good. It's been a week. I'm looking forward to the weekend.
Yes. So we're recording this on the last Friday before the end of financial year.
That's
so
right.
Is this why it's been a week?
That's right.
Has that been a contribution?
Among other things, yeah. It's been a week that's tested everybody in our business for different reasons, but I think everybody's feeling it. Like I've had
I don't
so
think
many
it's unique.
catch-ups. It's not unique to me, and it's not unique to our industry. I think everyone's just really looking forward to taking a big deep breath, which lasts 2 days, and then the next financial year starts.
It's just going to kick off. Which gives me a really good into you work with people.
Mm.
So are you seeing any trends? We've talked about the fact that you're in recruitment, and we might have a bit of a chat about some of your history later, but are you seeing any trends within people? Like, we know there's a skill shortage.
Yeah.
But is that true?
There is a skill shortage. I think probably the bigger adjustment that needs to happen is businesses changing perhaps what they're willing to accept, gaps that they need to train, people that perhaps they maybe wouldn't have considered before in their business, and hiring for potential rather than what somebody has right now, and seeing that that's a values fit for our business and I can train what's missing.
Right.
As opposed to hiring a 9 or a 10 out of 10 straight away.
Which aren't around anymore.
Well, they are. It just takes longer. So it just comes down to, are you willing to wait that long? And just because you're outsourcing that process to an agency or to your own internal talent department, it doesn't mean that they can necessarily do it any faster. They've just got access to different networks.
Okay. So are we finding that, because when people are recruiting, are they being forward thinking with their planning? about that skill shortage, or is it because someone's left and it's a now need? And there's this because that in itself puts a lot of pressure onto a business, existing staff within that business to fill what's happening.
Across different businesses, it's different. So small business is very reactive, for example.
Yeah.
It's not so forward planning. It's much more either
Knee-jerk.
replacing BAU or, I got busy really quickly, now I need somebody. And that's fine. That's how small business, I guess, works. Larger businesses definitely have plans, but it's often really easily, plans are really easily, I guess, reset or altered or adjusted. Or just thrown out the window.
I think everyone
based
has a
on
good
things
plan.
that happen. Yeah, it's all very well to plan, but sometimes you can't always execute your plan, or you need to be able to pivot and adapt.
So if you don't, so you say you have a plan, and people are going, I want this role with this type of skills, but you're struggling to find them, and the months are passing, and are businesses being open to going, you know what, we can take them now, train them, invest, or do they look to invest in their internal staff to move them? Or because it's all cost, isn't it, to a business?
Yeah, it's all
and
cost
it's all
to a
cost, and
business.
time is money as well.
Not hiring someone and having a position vacant is also costing money.
Yes.
And I like to think that our partners, those that we partner with, trust us, and that when we give advice or our thoughts on the market and what's happening, and then I guess it's up to us to provide options. Like, what would you like us to do here? This isn't going according to plan. It's not happening as fast as what we wanted, or we're not able to find somebody in the budget that you might have or with the level of experience that you thought you might get. So how would you like us to proceed here? Because if we keep going the same way, we're not necessarily going to be able to get a different result. I think it's about being able to have really honest conversations and challenge each other sometimes as well, because we're essentially an extension of the business. I'm not interested, nor do I think it's conducive to success to just be really transactional. I think it's got to be, I've got to understand your business and what your plans are and what you're looking to achieve.
Yeah.
And then you've got to understand us as well. We've got to work together, because ultimately I'm finding your biggest asset in your business is your people.
Yes.
And if I'm not in tune with what you want and need and what the plans are.
And because a mistake, I always think, that, what is that age-old saying? Slow to recruit, quick. No, what is it? Slow to hire, quick to fire.
Yeah.
I got there.
Yeah. Hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah, all these kind of little quirky sayings that people have, because having a vacancy can cost your business, but also recruiting the wrong person into your business can have detrimental
thousands
the impact,
can slow down growth, can impact your culture. I think that's probably the biggest thing. The biggest thing that we see is the impact on the culture in a business that a wrong hire can have.
Yes, that toxicity.
Yeah. And then how do you quantify what the cost of that is? You know, all of a sudden you've hired the wrong person who's not a fit. That's impacting the staff that you do have. Their performance drops off, their outcomes drop, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And how do you quantify
the
that
ripple
cost?
Is
Absolutely. Hire for culture. Trained skill.
So just want to go back. So what made SMAART Recruitment, because are they Eastern Seaboard? Melbourne? Where are they?
Melbourne-based brand. Yep. 20 years this year.
Okay,
congratulations
just
on 20th
20
birthday.
years.
Thank you.
What made them expand to Adelaide? What did they see in Adelaide or in you? Because you started the SMAART brand here in Adelaide. What did they? What was the catalyst for that?
Yeah. Okay. So they didn't approach me. I approached them.
Ooh, okay. Was this a bit of your sales cheekiness coming out?
So it's a long story. How much of it do you want?
Can we cut a long story short?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, go for it.
So someone once tapped me on the shoulder when I was in IT sales.
Okay.
And maybe we'd talk about that afterwards, and said, you should do recruitment. You'd be great at recruitment. Have you thought about recruitment, etc.? I know someone who wants to start a business in Adelaide. I went and ran that business, and after 8 months of slog and grind, and they had no presence here in South Australia, etc. they lost a really big contract interstate, and it was a case of last on, first off. So they made me redundant. They were so kind as to do it 10 weeks from Christmas. They gave me a week's salary and said sorry and thank you, and I moved on. I got some contract work with one of our clients at the time to just get me through
that gap
and give me some. And I had a baby at home, and mortgage and everything else. Like, I had to work this out quickly. And a friend of mine said to me, "Have you seen this brand, SMAART Recruitment, before? I'm just starting to see them pop up on LinkedIn. I've not heard of them before. They look really cool. They look
So
really
this was 2019, so that was 6 years. So they were already like
This
12.
was 2018. This was the end of 2018.
So like they've been around for like 14 years. Yeah.
Yeah. But never recruited in Adelaide. Nobody knew who they were, and they had a really established presence on the eastern seaboard. And they were just different. They had caricatures on their website and cartoons, and even the colouring, the light blue and the white and the orange, and it was just a bit more fun. And I thought, that's definitely more of a brand that I'd like to work with. And so I approached them and said, well, have you ever thought about opening in Adelaide? Initially, they thought I wanted staff. And I said, no, I want to run your business for you.
In Adelaide.
So I essentially pitched my services. I flew myself to Melbourne, did the old 30, 60, 90-day plan back in those days.
I think they're still valid.
30, 60, 90?
Yeah. I think there's always a place for 30, 60, 90.
Yeah, well, I did a 30, 60, 90. And my boss took me for a coffee and said, yeah, let's do it. And I'm lucky, I'm lucky that he is a bit of a punter. He likes to take risks, and he runs our business the same way.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for him, I'm not here. So he asked me, what do I need? And I said, a mobile phone, a stack of business cards, and a laptop, and let's see where we go.
So it would have been, but at this point, you hadn't worked in recruitment, or you just had that
I had for 8 months.
So it wasn't a long time in recruitment. So even though you had a brand behind you, it was an unknown brand. So in some respects, it was like starting out. It was like starting your own business here in Adelaide. You just happened to have a little bit of backing and a little bit of the, not necessarily pressure, but security that you had. So what were your challenges when you first started that? Because there would have been.
Oh, so many. The biggest challenge when you're on your own starting something is between your ears.
That motivation, morale,
the motivation,
self-belief.
the morale, quietening the people in the cheap seats, to quote Brene Brown. But, all those critics, those voices that say you can't do it, what are you doing? Your wife was right. You should have just gone and taken a job with Randstad or another agency. Why didn't you just go back into tech sales? Why didn't you take the easy path? They were all the things that I would battle. And on top of that, I guess you're rocking up to businesses and saying, hey, trust me, you don't know who I am. You don't know who my brand is. But I promise you I can deliver what you need. And at the end of the day, people buy off of people.
Yeah.
And that's all I went with. People buy off of people. So my philosophy was like, if I'm just a really nice guy and I convince you that I'm going to do what I say I can do, you'll hopefully do business with me. And then it's up to me to prove it to you.
Yeah.
That was my thought process.
Okay. So so in some respects, there's an element of this person has a rapport or a connection with me, which, if you're recruiting for them and you're talking about culture, you've got to understand their culture. So how do you assess somebody's culture? Because, for an potential employee, it's like that great shop window, but on the other side of it, do you get to see inside the shop or the back office? How do you assess that culture and that culture fit?
We would always go and spend time in the business.
Okay,
so,
like physically there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So we might meet at a coffee shop to discuss, what you're looking for, I guess, to start with. But then it would always be, okay, the next meeting needs to be inside the business, and I want to talk to your highest performer. So we'd always ask, what does your highest performer look like? What do they do? What are the characteristics? And then could I meet them? And can I have a chat to them? And can you show me around the lunchroom? And can I meet other people in the business? I don't want to just talk to HR. Can I talk to some of your leaders? And then I guess it's like everything, you've kind of put together a picture. So obviously the values are on the website and that sort of thing, and you read reviews and you Google the company, but it's more from that feel that you get when you're meeting with businesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How does it work now have you seen a shift? Because we're also talking here 2019. So 2019, 2020, COVID hits. People start working from home. Then it's all of a sudden this hybrid working. How do you think there's been an impact on workplace culture? How do you really get that? How do you get that connection in a team? Do they feel disjointed?
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the biggest things that businesses are navigating now.
Yeah. 100%. To answer your question, it's definitely different. I remember when COVID hit, I remember walking down Pirie Street on the way to my office, early days of COVID, and someone had made a sign and that stuck it to the front of one of the cafes, and it said, "The world will never be the same after this day."
Yeah.
And that stuck with me.
And I think
it's true. It's never been the same.
And for me, I think it was the 15th of March, 2020. So like for me to remember a date is really freaks me out. Yeah, I think it was the 15th of March. And it was like, oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree. It's really weird that I've got that day.
To answer your question from a workplace perspective, we're almost shifted. So that work from home shift, and now it's coming back the other way of businesses wanting to bring everybody back into the office. And now it's how do we find that split? Businesses grappling with is work from home just a normal part of working now? We're even not advertising work from home on job ads anymore because it's just expected that you've got work from home.
As an option.
If you don't have work from home, we actually put on job ads, or in conversations we're having to say it's a 100% in-office role.
That's different terminology, isn't it, really?
100%. And we didn't see it so much, I don't think, in South Australia, but certainly from a business perspective in the eastern states, even just going out and having a coffee or having a face-to-face business meeting with somebody was so foreign 2-3 years later. And now I think it's finally back to that point of like, oh, how good is it to get out and have coffee and not be at home anymore? But Melbourne and Sydney have only just started that in the last 12, 24 months, I think, whereas Adelaide didn't quite go through that. But my colleagues didn't leave home for years.
Yeah, we had, it was interesting because we had people that I was dealing with during that time, and some of their policies was they weren't allowed to attend in-person events, or they weren't, because they were a national company and they'd done sweeping standard, even though South Australia wasn't the same as Victoria or or the states, but they were like, oh, that's our policy. And we were like, oh my gosh, can you just imagine? So they were restricted in South Australia, even though they're, because they were national, which is odd as it was. But is there a skill shortage? So let's go back one. So you've said a few things and I've gone, well, that's not every business. No. So, you've talked about values aligned, you're talking office potentially, a place of work, even if that's hybrid, flexible, whatever. They've got things on their website. So it seems to be that there's a certain size of business that SMAART is working with. Is that industry specific as well?
We probably more work in specific types of roles within businesses rather than industry specific. So we'll work with a business in any industry, but we won't fill any role. Right. We're not generalists to the point where we'll say we'll do everything. And I think if you do get to that point of saying, and hats off to those agencies that can and do, I think you've got to be really careful from a credibility perspective that you don't start saying, oh, we can do anything that you need if you can't. And don't try to do things if you think it's going to be a struggle. Like I think I've built our brand and my brand over the years of saying, I actually can't help you with that. However, here's somebody that I trust that would look after you. Yeah. And so I've got a network of people around me that are in recruitment that hand work off to.
Yeah, if they're
To
better
help
suited.
customers. But to answer your question about the skill shortages, yeah, there's definitely skill shortages, just in certain industries. Not so much in the industries that we would recruit in, or sorry, I should say the job titles that we
So
recruit
you said in
for.
your bio, HR,
Business
finance,
support,
business
finance. Well, accountants are a good example. There's a massive skill shortage for accountants. So that would probably be one that would hit us.
Yeah.
But the most obvious of the skill shortages, skilled trades. There's a huge push in getting engineers, and we've got these massive projects that we're doing, either whether it's infrastructure projects or
I think we're going to be something
projects
ridiculous like 75,000 we need if we were going to get South Australia's infrastructure and homes, and it's like, where are they coming from?
Yeah, exactly. And the defence projects out at Osborne, and so there's skill shortages in some of those industries for sure. They don't necessarily impact our business.
No.
I often get phone calls asking if I can find someone, an electrician or a plumber, or once again, that's not what we do, but there's definitely trade shortages as well. And I think the government are now working really hard to try and address those, but it'll take time.
Significant time. We're not really going to see it for another 7 to 8 years, I think. You said there's our brand and my brand.
Yes.
Which I'm going to pick up on now.
Yeah, personal brand.
Let's talk about personal brand from both employer and employee. Do you think that it is important to invest in your own personal brand to assist both? I want to work with that person. Is that becoming more and more? From our side of it, in a marketing perspective, we're definitely seeing that build of it's important to have your own brand outside of your employer's brand.
Yes. In our industry, do you mean, or just in general?
Just everything, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Let's make it general.
Yeah, I think so. And personal brand is so important. It's so important. I think you want to be remembered for who you are, not necessarily the brand that you work for. And the brand that you work for sure, you want there to be a synergy there between the two. But ultimately, you might not always work for that brand, but you want people to know who you are and follow you. I want people who deal with Matthew Dew to speak highly of Matthew Dew as much as they speak highly of I work with SMAART.
Yeah. And do you encourage that with your team? Because obviously you started out on your own.
Yeah.
What's the SMAART team look like now?
The SMAART team's gone through some rapid change in the last 2 years from a team perspective. We've had a bit of turnover, positive attrition, and people moved on to bigger and better things, or left the industry, or gone and got married, or traveling the world, or, I've got some really great success stories of people that are now running internal talent teams that started with me. And that's cool. That makes me feel good. That's why I do one of my big whys. But something that I'm working with them on consistently is building their own personal brand. Yeah. I think it's hard. It's hard to get cut through. And I think all of those syndromes, they also get imposter syndrome. What have I got to say that someone will want to hear about on LinkedIn? Or all of those things happen for them as well. Or knowing what to say.
Yeah.
And that can be hard. But so you're really good at your social media. Just translate what you do in a personal life into a professional. Well, maybe you don't put some of your photos from Saturday night on LinkedIn, but.
Well, I'm going to ask that. So if you were being recruited, do you go to that nth degree of checking people's social media, that their business, like how they're being perceived in the business professional, lines up? You're talking about values. Do you actually assess that?
No. Our job in recruitment is to remove as much bias as we can.
Yeah.
I would perhaps check someone's profile, Google them, and check profiles, and perhaps give them advice on, if I were you, I would lock your profile, knowing that people do search.
Yeah.
But no, throughout the recruitment process, my job is to remove as much bias as possible and assess you as an individual and your ability to do the role and your cultural fit. So
as part of the bio, we talked about values and alignment. How do you assess the values? Is there tests that you do as part of the recruitment process that align with, the values that are on that employer? What, you're trying to be, remove the biased. But what are you doing as part of that assessment to make sure that, and I appreciate there probably is a lot of your gut in this.
It's your biggest tool in recruitment is your gut. And the minute that you go against it, you let yourself down, I think. But you ask people questions about their values. And I know it sounds really simple, but that's our job. We've recently invested in some technology at SMAART that removes the ability for us to note take during an interview. It's like an AI note taker, but probably a little bit more than that. The profound difference in the quality of interviews only in the last 2 weeks, because I'm actually able to sit there and just talk to you like this and ask questions and really listen to the answer and then dig deeper.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's our job at the end of the day. So we might ask questions in alignment to like, what are your personal values? And this client has these values, which they live by. Which one of those do you align to most and why? Might be a question that we might ask as an example. Yeah.
So you're using AI in your business and some of the roles that you're recruiting for, and, you know, there is skill shortages in that space. Are you seeing more people asking that when they're recruiting that they need to have skills in the AI space? Or because people keep saying it's going to improve productivity, do you think that is people need to know how to use AI tools effectively? Now, is that starting to be asked as part of a skill base?
I think once again, it depends on the type of role that you're recruiting. Probably not people, certainly not clients asking, can you make sure that people have got the ability to use AI? So it hasn't gone to that stage yet? Not yet. Well, certainly not in any of the briefs that I've taken. It's not been important. I think it's more about people's propensity to try new things and I guess the creativity side.
Yeah.
Are you willing to try new things and use AI? I think where I'm more seeing the impact of AI in our industry is that people using it
to apply.
But it's almost too often. Using ChatGPT to write the perfect cover letter that addresses absolutely everything.
And you're probably seeing exactly the same letter.
We're getting 90% perfect applications. So
I hadn't thought of it that way.
Yeah. So like applications come in. It's like, wow, that's one of the best cover letters I've ever written. This person did not write it. I can tell. Yeah. And you know, and then, so then it's like, okay, all of a sudden, you know, as a recruiter, I'm not too sure if you're aware of this, but as an agency recruiter, there's a statistic that on first pass, you look at a resume for no more than 7 or 8 seconds. And then you go back to it. So you go, like Tinder, yes, no, yes, no, yeah.
Swipe left, swipe right.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go back. That pile of yeses is getting much bigger on first pass. So then we're having to look at other things. But what I'm concerned about is the amount that people are starting to rely on AI, not necessarily to improve an outcome, but it's like, I need to sanity check myself. I'm just going to put it through AI. Or I see it even in my team. Sometimes they put things in and I'm like, why did you just get AI to write that? You could have done that.
I saw something that that they were saying that people's intellectual percentages is actually dropping because of their reliance on AI for some of the more simpler tasks.
Yeah.
That there is seem to be, we're getting a little bit lazy because we just know that, I'll just throw that into AI. I'll just throw that into AI rather than maybe using, and people are starting to see a drop. I read it in there.
I'd love to know as a percentage how many people with the recent election, for example, made their decision based on what AI told them to do versus like, put it into ChatGPT, who should I vote for, versus understanding the different parties' policies and things.
Yeah, the manifestos and taking the time.
Yeah. And the reason that I say that is because those conversations have been had with me.
Yes.
And I'm like, you asked ChatGPT who to vote for, but what about how does it suit your life circumstance, etc.
So do you have any ending thing that if someone was an employer that you think they should be asking, or maybe lower their expectations or a bit of a takeaway, and as an employee, or a potential employee what you think you should be doing to highlight. Obviously not using AI to make you stand out. Is there some tips that you could give to both?
Yeah. It's really easy from an employee. If I start from an employee or a job seeker perspective, tools like Seek have made rapid applying really easy. I've actually asked Seek that they remove the quick apply function because you can sit there on the app and apply for 25 jobs and not have to do anything other than click a button. And I think all that comes across then is I want a job rather than I want to work for your company. So my advice to the employee seeking work is to really understand why it is you want to work for that company and be able to sell that and think about what is it about me that I'm going to tell this company that's going to make them want to hire me. So there's that side. And from the employer side, I have these conversations all the time. It's about, once again, it's hiring for that right fit, not necessarily always a culture fit, but even a culture add.
Yeah.
What's this person going to add to my business? Not just fit in. What's this person going to come? Maybe they're going to come in and challenge.
Yeah.
How can this person make my business better?
That's a really good question to ask.
Yeah.
Look at the
So get them thinking about that.
So if somebody wanted to reach out to Matthew Dew and SMAART, how would they do that?
Well, through our website, all of our contact details are there. Obviously, I'm on LinkedIn as well. They're probably the two best ways. We have Instagram, so we're fully available on social media. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming into the Glass Ceiling today. It's been really good to get a little bit of a different perspective. And I wish you all the best and continue for Adelaide to grow with the SMAART brand.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Tuning in to this episode of The Glass Ceiling. If you've liked what you heard, please subscribe, as we'd love to have you as part of our community. We're grateful to our guests for sharing their inspiring stories and insights with us. This podcast was brought to you by Wavebreaker. Join us next time as we shatter the glass ceiling, one story at a time.